am Justin Boyd.
I am Brittany Pacheco.
I am Tristan Jones.
And we are the Watchers in the Basement.
Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. We are here today to discuss the season 2 premiere of The Last of Us. The hit HBO show is back, and we can't wait to talk about it. But before we get Brittany and Tristan's thoughts on the show, I want to hit you with some The Last of Us facts. Of course, like I said, this is the second season. The episode of the premiere is titled Future Days, which is a reference to a Pearl Jam song, which talked to Tristan about this a little bit, but I believe plays a big factor in this season, or later on in other seasons. It definitely plays a factor in the video game. Excuse me. The show is based on the critically acclaimed PlayStation video game series that was created by Naughty Dog Studios. It was written and created by Neil Druckmann, who is executive producer on this show. The second season occurs 5 years after the events of the first season and is based on the 2020 game, The Last of Us Part 2. Season 2 will have 7 episodes, airing from April 13th to May 25th. The first season had 9 episodes, so we're only getting 7 in season 2. The first episode was littered with award nominations. It had 24 Primetime Emmy Awards, or nominated for 24 Primetime Emmy Awards. It won 8 and had 3 Golden Globe nominations. And the cast, of course, includes Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey, Gabriel Luna, Rutina Wesley, Kaitlyn Dever, young Mazino, Isabela Merced, Danny Ramirez, Catherine O'Hara, Jeffrey Wright, and Joe Pantoliano. And Brittany, I want to start with you first. What did you think about the season premiere of The Last of Us?
I think I was hoping for maybe just a little bit more action. I mean, don't misunderstand. We definitely got action. However, the more important factor of this season is that we've progressed 5 years from where we last left off Joel and Ellie. So because of that, we need to get caught up with the storyline of the characters now. It's been 5 years. So Ellie is now 19. There's a struggle between her and Joel, and so much of Jackson has grown in the 5 years. So we as the audience need to get caught up with the now current storyline. There's some things here and there that I was like, wait a minute, did I miss storyline? Especially when Joel was meeting with Gail, who is played by Catherine O'Hara. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I felt like I was missing information that maybe I should have gone to rewatch the last season, but I learned that this is actually done purposefully. So that's fine. Again, I think I was just expecting a little bit more action, but I will kind of take a leaf from Tristan's tree of life, if you will. You know, this is really important to have story, right? Because we can't go anywhere without establishing story. So with that being said, I'm going to turn this over to Tristan. What were your thoughts on the season premiere of The Last of Us?
I mean, loved it. 10 out of 10, no notes. The biggest thing that I was looking for coming into this season, and particularly in the premiere, was in what ways were Zuckman, no, I'm messing somebody's name up, but Neil,
Druckmann, yeah.
And, you know, his partner, like, in what way were they going to kind of subvert away from the game? You know, because the one thing that I was kind of anxious about was not spoiling anything, but there's a big thing that happens in the plot line of season 2, or the game number 2, part 2. I mean, and I wonder, like, because eventually that's going to happen, but like how close or how far into the season will that thing happen? And it's going to shake up the entire show, you know? So I'm looking so much at like the pace of the storyline, you know, what's different from the game, what's similar to the game. And there's a lot that was similar. That, again, if you play the game, if you know that story, that, you know, brings out that nostalgia towards the game. The scenes that we, you know, so talked about, that we love so much on these message boards and Reddits and stuff. But I also just wanted to see, like, in what way we're going to kind of swerve away from that, you know, in order to tell a fuller story. Because in the game, the big thing that happens semi at the beginning of the game, you know, and kind of shapes the rest of that story. So I do see that. I'm just kind of playing it out a little bit, but what I love from the premiere was that, like Brittany said, the story, like establishing that story allows for, when the thing happens, if it happens, because they may, ultimately switch away from it, it's going to mean so much more once we see like the full story. So, I thought there was enough action. My wife and I were watching it, and when they went into the building, we'll talk about the scene, but like there was still that same anxiety, that I got from season one, or that I absolutely got times 100 playing the game. Like playing the game is just constant anxiety. Anything can jump out at any moment. You can fall down any hole. This building that you thought there was one clicker, there's 100, and like this is so many things, and then you got to deal with the people. So yeah, I'm loving like how they're just kind of setting that tone of, it's still the same, the larger theme of man versus man, man versus nature, man versus subhuman, yada yada. All these conflicts are playing out, but the biggest story, the one that we're going to get attached to, is the one that's happening between Joel and Ellie.
Yeah, no, definitely. We're about to get into that, but Tristan, I want to throw back to you real quick, because back in January, Brittany and I did a pod where we talked about our most anticipated superhero projects for the year, because there's a ton of them. There's a bunch of movies, a bunch of TV shows coming out that some have come out already, more are on the way, and obviously, we didn't talk about this show because it's not really a superhero show, but I want to get your thoughts on, as far as like anticipation, where does this show rank for you for 2025 compared with movies and other TV shows?
As far as
just overall, like like, is it your most anticipated thing of the year, or is it like top five?
That is a great question. Like this, man, I wish I was told this ahead of time.
Sorry about that.
I would say, yeah, it has to be. Like, I'm thinking about like the other things that are in contention would be like Mission Impossible. Mm-hmm. You talk about superhero movies.
Yeah.
Fucking Ethan Hunt is a superhero.
Yeah.
I think I anticipate this more than I do like House of Dragon, which is, okay. If you would have told me this 10 years ago, I would have, slapped you, but for me, the thing I love about the show is the thing I loved about the game. And again, this is my favorite game of all time. And it's mostly because of the story. Like most games, you have like the first person shooter stuff. You have some story, but like the focus is so much on like the action that the story just kind of gets like drawn out in the background. And the thing I loved about this game is that the story and the action just cohabitate perfectly. You know what I'm saying? Like the second you think that the story is done, some action happens. The second you think the action is done, like the story is happening within the action. It's a beautiful game. And I love what they've done. Mazin interrupted me. I love what they've done with this story and like made it into a TV show. You know what I'm saying? But they kept all the same beautiful elements. So House of Dragon doesn't really do that. Like House of Dragon is great. And I love it, and I anticipate when it happens.
Right.
But I guess
we're going to get a Night of the Seven Kingdoms this year. That's the Game of Thrones show for 2025. I believe that's later on this year. So,
I mean, yeah, I'm looking forward to it when it happens, but I'm also not like counting the days. I count the days with Last of Us. So,
yeah.
I also love that it hasn't reached the point. Let's almost reach the point in certain elements of where Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon got, where like it's just constant debate about so much stuff that it kind of the enjoyment drops a little bit. So, but it's almost there. It's getting popular enough to get into like the bullshit of it. So yeah, Last of Us is my number one.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why we talked about season one was because of you. Like you're the one who really hyped us up about this show. I mean, obviously HBO has a track record of having the best shows on TV. Really, everything they do is excellent. But this season one really wasn't on my radar until you kind of hyped us up, and then we did it. It's like that was one of the best shows of the year. And for me, this year, this is going to be an early contender for best show of the year. I think The Bear season 4 might be to me that might be a head-to-head matchup later in the summer if The Bear season 4 actually drops. We'll see about that later on. But for me, this episode, This show is an absolute pleasure to watch and even a pleasure to rewatch. We're currently reviewing another show every week that I can't say the same for. And that show is having its finale. We'll be talking about that on Wednesday. This show is the opposite. I mean, the acting, the writing, the music, the cinematography, like it all has meaning. Like it's just a beautiful show to watch and just kind of experience. And I've never played the game. I probably won't play the game. I've seen plenty of videos of people playing the game online, but it's just such a great show to watch. And we're going to be here every week breaking down all 7 episodes. And I just can't wait to see where this goes. And with that, let's talk about season 2. So like, as we can tell, it's a bigger cast, right? It's season 2 is just a bigger show than season 1. And season 1 was amazing. Season 2 is somehow bigger, and we're going to get into the cast, but let's talk about the main 2 characters. And Brittany, why don't you start us off? Joel and Ellie, 5 years later, they are in different. I mean, they're literally in the same location, but they're in different places in their relationship. It seems very strained. What do you think about what's going on between the main 2 characters?
I mean, quite frankly, they are estranged from one another. They live in the same town. They may live in the same house. In theory, Ellie has moved out to the garage to make it into her own private space, like a little apartment, I guess you could say. And she's 19 years old. Obviously, she's not a little girl anymore. In a way, she's still annoying as hell. Okay, throughout this episode, even John, he's like, she still bothers me, and I'm like, I get it, because I'm trying to remember myself at 19, and I probably had a chip on my shoulder as well, and probably thought, I know everything. No one can tell me anything different. But Bella's performance as Ellie really, really goes deep into that whole, I'm an independent woman. I'm an adult. Like, no one can tell me anything what to do. But there is a deeper reason as to why Ellie feels that way. Obviously, she knows from the finale of season 1 that she's been lied to about the Fireflies by Joel, the only person in the world that's there for her. And so when you have your trust really shaken up because of a lie, I mean, it's only kind of natural that you feel some type of way. But I guess for them, it's hasn't gotten any better. It's only deepened. It's worsened to the point where Joel has sought out therapy, because he's trying to figure out how to navigate his surrogate daughter, if you will, right? He's like, I never got to this point with my own daughter. So, I'm trying to figure things out. She's trying to figure things out, but she's basically doing what every 19-year-old does with their parent, and it's be rebellious, be, just wanting to be left alone. But it's kind of sad. It's kind of sad to see, because she obviously really cared for him in a very short amount of time, even though he resisted. But Joel did what he thought was best for her, and that was to basically murk everybody. That way they didn't kill her. That way they couldn't, bring out this antidote for everyone. And that's rough. That's rough. So.
Yeah, Tristan, sorry, I just want to get your thoughts on the fact that the opening scene from this episode was the closing scene of the finale of season 1. Just talk about the importance of that, and just what you think about what's happening with Ellie and Joel 5 years later.
Well, as far as like the opening scene, one thing you're just gonna have to get used to hearing me say is like where there's similarities and differences, between the game. But that cut scene, like, was so natural to game players, because they'll do that. Like, they'll give you this emotional scene, and it'll just cut, so such and such years later, or how many months later. So I loved it visually. But where they are, like, we talked about her being 19. You also have to remember that she spent her entire life in an apocalypse, So the Arrested Development has her essentially, developmentally about 16, right? So she's right in that age range where you take everything super hard. Everything's an extreme. And say Ellie was people call it. I was watching like the Ringerverse, and they call it. They have like the Ellie pluck meter or something like this. Measure how plucky she is in a given episode.
Yeah.
And she's plucky, man. Like, she's a brat. She's abrasive. She's all these things. And the thing I love is, again, similar to the game, like, you love Ellie, but you don't really like Ellie all the time. Even when you play as her, when you play against her, like, you don't always like her. You don't like the decisions she makes. You don't like the way she reacts to things. So that's so true to form. And then when you combine everything, like Brittany just said, with like the severing of the trust between her and really the only person that, not only the person that had her back, but the only person that she learned to develop a trust for, that's a game-changing thing, like, mentally. And again, she's not even developmentally where she needs to be at 19 years old. So much of her life has been about survival and rage. You know what I'm saying? And like, those two things don't mix with like compassion and perspective and nuance and stuff like that. Ellie's not a nuanced person. Like, even though she is, there's so many things about her that are complex, that are out of what, other people would consider normal. But like, essentially, she is kind of, black and white on things and stubborn and pig-headed. And like, those things play out, but so is Joel. You know what I'm saying? And like, this chasm between them can only deepen because they're going to continue to be who they are. And Joel has dove even further into his, I do fucked up things for good reasons, so that makes me a good person.
Yeah.
And that's not going to fly. Like, one of them is going to have to bend and be more compassionate towards the other, or like that is going to continue to grow.
Yeah. And as far as like how they're kind of going about this in different ways, Brittany, let's talk about Ellie. Ellie's learning to fight. And she's also, it seemingly that's a way for her to, she doesn't want to be protected by Joel, right? It's part of her pushing him away is to be like, hey, I'm not his girl. Like, I can protect myself. But then everyone in the town of Jackson, Wyoming, they're very aware that, that is Joel's kid, and you don't want to mess with Joel's kid because then you have to mess with Joel. What do you think about that part of the episode where she's like very defiant in wanting to be her own person, defend herself?
It's very Taurus mentality, and I would know because I am one. But no, I mean, I think the skill to learn how to fight, because Ellie has really embraced the want to find, fight, and kill these cordyceps, right? And she goes on patrol. She does recon. She is active in this fight against this enemy, if you will. And so what do? You train for it. Well, I mean, the guy that she's training with or fighting with is huge in comparison. I mean, Ellie's small, right? She's I won't say quite petite, but she is small. But anyway, she's got a lot of fight in her, though. She's got a lot of aggression that I'm sure she is trying to beat out. I didn't know how to finish that sentence. That sounded weird. Sorry. She's got a lot of fight in her. And when she finally gets the guy to tap out, her expression of boom, motherfucker. I was just like, no, like, no, you don't go boom. Even before the guy said it, I thought to myself, I'm like, he got you first. Like, he swung and connected with you first and you fell. Like, that's not boom. Anyway. So she learns, like, to your point, that because she is Joel's daughter, for all intents and purposes, that the guy was holding back his punch, and they have to be careful with her because of who Joel is, what she means to Joel. And they don't want to answer to him because he's clearly made a name for himself in the town of Jackson, right? So, but for her to be able to learn the skill of fighting, she clearly is also into weapons. Like, we see her in another scene where she's cleaning her gun before she goes on patrol. She's got like this big ass rifle on her. I mean, the girl has done a lot in 5 years, and it's kind of cool. I just wish she just wasn't as bratty as she is. But again, that's that's Taurus in all of us. So
Yeah.
anyway, to really quickly jump over to the chat here. Thank you to everyone who's in today's chat. We've got Marcy, Trisha, Yesenia, M Moves, and King B Johnson. We really appreciate y'all taking the time to be here today. Trisha says, let's be honest. We're watching for the plot, aka Pedro Pascal. Yes, we are. Him and the glasses. My goodness. My goodness.
A quick side note based on Trisha's comment. Is there anyone who is more popular, like on the internet, like worldwide, or busier than Pedro Pascal? I mean,
I don't think so.
it's kind of crazy that he's involved in almost everything. Like, he's in Star Wars. He's going to be in Marvel and Fantastic Four this summer. He's
Speaking
in
of
an
Star
Apple
Wars.
commercial. Like, he's now in the biggest show on HBO for the next 6-7 weeks. Like, is he the biggest star right now? Like, in all of Hollywood? Like, if you had I know there's big, like, Tom Cruise is a bigger name, Brad Pitt's a bigger name, Julia Roberts is a bigger name, right? Traditionally, but
currently in this
rating,
moment,
yeah, like, is he the most famous kind of actor working nowadays? What do you think, Tristan?
He may be the most reliable.
Yeah, there you go. There's a reason why he's with doing every project. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but like, he picks good projects.
Yeah.
I saw him in a trailer for some a movie. I want to say it's some rom-com.
Oh yeah, with Chris Evans also, and what's her name from Madam
oh
Web?
God,
Dakota
yes,
Johnson.
Dakota Johnson.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like,
I will argue that Gladiator 2 was not a good project for him to be in, although he was great. But
no, he was great in the movie. I don't think it was a great movie.
The movie wasn't great.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, everything he's touching is gold for the most part.
Yeah.
Either it's really good, like quality wise, or it just makes a shitload of money, or both. So
yeah,
he's maybe the most reliable man in Hollywood right now.
Yeah, he is Mr. Fantastic. And Tristan, sticking with Pedro, let's talk about Joel in therapy with Gail, and he pays her in weed.
Bad weed.
Yeah, and,
as you do.
Good
as
Lord.
you do.
As Brittany mentioned, Gail is played by Catherine O'Hara, and we find out during the therapy session that Joel actually killed her husband.
Yeah,
Eugene. So, but I mean, again, this is one of those moments where, like, I feel like they're throwing us something at us that I don't think we're supposed to know, and maybe that's gonna come in the following weeks. But what did you think about this scene? And, like, is there a therapy thing in the game?
There is no therapy in the game. Again, after the episode interviews, I think Neil Druckmann, or I think maybe it was Mazino, one of them, just talked about the concept of, like, hey, people have been through these catastrophic things. Their whole lives have been torn apart. The world has ended in front of them, and they just kind of had to live through that. So, like, it makes sense to have, a therapist somewhere on the premises, for that, especially in this developed community that they built. But I thought the scene was excellent. I think it's amazing that she's the person who gets Joel at least to the point of almost opening up about all of his sins.
Yeah.
But Joel, it's just seeing that fight between Catherine O'Hara and Pedro Pascal as like he's portraying Joel sticking to this, like, I'm a good man. Like, she sees, like, there's this block, there's the wall. And really the wall is not that he doesn't want to confess to what he did. He just thinks that saying it out loud would question his persona as a good man, right? Because that's his justification for every, killing, every time he's hurt somebody in some type of way, like, hey, I'm a good man, I'm doing this for a greater good. So, like, yeah, I just thought that scene was beautiful. I loved how he picked up that something was off with her, and we, as the scene goes, we understand why he was uncomfortable being there, because he killed her husband. About that, because everybody's talking about who is Eugene.
Yeah.
In the game, like, there's a reference to a Eugene in Jackson, and him dying, but it wasn't by Joel. So this is another thing that they've added in.
Okay.
To cause that tension between him and the therapist. But yeah, it was just a great scene. I love how she tried her best to kind of hide her contempt. Clearly that is something that had built up over those sessions, her having to essentially treat, the person who killed her husband. We can make the assumption that her husband, got infected.
Yeah.
And Joel had to, take care of him. She also said she didn't like the way he did it. So I'm interested in seeing, what happened that would be out of the norm from just, killing an infected person. Like maybe he did it like so callously or something like that. But she just couldn't hide. She could not hide the contempt. And in order to get him to open up, she had to open up first. And she could only do that by telling him how much she hated him. So Catherine O'Hara, the legend, shout out to her because beautiful scene between those two.
Yeah, great scene, no doubt. And Brittany, Catherine O'Hara's character, Gail, definitely hates what he laugh. Go ahead and say it, Brittany. Go ahead and read the comment.
Y'all are killing me in the comments right now in the live stream with this payment that Joel gave to Gail. Trisha says, I wasn't ready for the Mary Jane payment situation. Marcy, shout out to Marcy, who's in today's chat. She goes, Gail wanted that real sticky, icky. That's what did me.
Yeah.
Imboots goes, top quality payment. Trisha makes a comment how, like, I'm trying really hard not to bust out laughing with this chat. Marcy, again, no stress, no seeds, no stems, no sticks.
There was so many sticks in that shit, man.
Shit. Oh my goodness. And then M just killed me. At least he didn't have to pay with eggplant. Mary Jane does a fair trade. Jesus Christ.
So Gail is not a fan of Joel, but there's another new character that actually hates Joel more than Gail does. And Brittany, let's talk about this new character. The character's name is Abby, played by Kaitlyn Dever. And we learn that Abby is a Firefly who wants to kill Joel slowly. When she and her group finds Joel, by the way, one of the members of her group is Danny Ramirez, the new Falcon. Yeah, Joaquin Torres himself. Very cool to see him in this project.
Yep.
But talking about Abby, like I said, she is very upset with Joel. Apparently, Joel killed someone very close to her in Salt Lake City, and she's coming after him. What do you think about this actress? And obviously, Abby's gonna be a huge part of the show, just given how she is at the beginning of the show and she's at the very final shot of this episode. What do you think about Abby, Brittany?
She is probably going to be a force. I mean, that much is said with her just speaking on Joel. I was going to say Joe. I got caught up when you said about Danny Ramirez being Falcon, because there's also a character in the Fireflies here that's from the show You, the actress that plays Marianne. She's in this show as well, so that's going to be cool. She kind of comes into her own as well. As an actress, I saw her in Uncharted with Tom Holland, and she's really good at being like the villain, if you will. So I'm curious to see how her character pans out in the show. Anyway, but with Abby, it seems like, yes, Joel killed someone that was very close to her. I don't know. I think in the making of The Last of Us for the season, it was said that it was her father. Right. Her father was killed by Joel. Now, what was he doing? What was his occupation? If he was one of those who was performing surgery on Ellie or not, I don't precisely know. And I don't know if we're going to find out. But I kind of wished, at least with her introduction, we understood that there was some sort of animosity that she has towards him. But it would have been nice to have like the why. If she had exclaimed, like, he killed my dad and killed everyone else that I knew and loved, or something like that. That way, really kind of, okay, now this makes sense. Because I was a little confused, first and foremost. The giraffes threw me off. You look up, you see the sun, you see leaves, and then you see a fucking giraffe like coming to, chew your head off. And I'm like, what the hell is this? But then you see the group of fireflies who are looking at the mass graves, that I guess they were the ones who buried everyone there. I don't know. Like we're missing story here. So I was a little confused. I was like, this is not quite the way I was hoping the beginning of this season would start, right? But for Abby, I was hoping for a tad bit of information about the why she really wanted to go after Joel so badly. But I mean, by the end of this episode, it doesn't seem that they're too far off.
Yeah, they're right there. Tristan, what are your thoughts on Kaitlyn Dever playing Abby, and just what we're seeing so far, and obviously what we're probably going to see later on?
Yeah, Abby, really controversial character in the Last of Us universe for a lot of reasons. Some I'm not sure we'll find out in this season. I don't know, but Abby is portrayed in the game as, muscular, big, tomboyish, really, really strong, really forceful. So I love the way that, Kaitlyn Dever is developing that character. As far as her why for wanting to kill Joel, I think they're building towards that. I think they purposely left that out. I was kind of waiting for it, and I think they purposely left that out just to kind of build that suspense, like why, like, who close, who was close, but I'm pretty sure that they're building towards that, and we'll find it out pretty soon. But you said, I think for the casual viewer, I do think it is a valid criticism of like, hey, just a little bit more exposition. But The Last of Us will play the long game on you. Yeah, it's like they will assume that, hey, you'll be back, you'll find this out. We'll get there. But they will play the long game on you. So prepare for that. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, because of the fact that this show, and I often forget that this show is based on a video game that a lot of people are very familiar with, have played multiple times. You yourself, Tristan, are one of them. And I feel like this is when shows or movies become tricky, when you're catering to two different audiences. One group who is very familiar with the lore, the background, and all that good stuff. But then you have those who are just casual viewers. It's kind of the situation that we're dealing with right now with Daredevil. I'm not going to go into that. House of the Dragon. Yeah. Me, Harry Potter. So that being said, it's tricky when writing and delivering a good story, because I guess perhaps for the writers and showrunners, they think, oh, well, most of the people already know about this, we don't really need to elaborate, or they're writing it purposefully just for that buildup of story that we're going to get in the future. But then it's like, for us who have never played the game, don't know anything about the story, it's like, this just feels like it's missing something. It's plot holes, if you will. But I guess they know what they're doing, because obviously they were nominated so many times during award season, and I'm pretty sure it's going to pay off.
And I think, and this is probably me, I'm just in the tank for Neil Druckmann and Mazin, but like, I think they don't, succumb to like the overall perception that the audience just needs quick things. Like, you need to know it right now. I feel like they purposely want to tell a longer story, because we just need longer stories sometimes, but like letting things develop, as long as it's developed well, you know what I'm saying? Not as long as it's not like, pardon me, like 1923, where we have to drag out so much stuff because we don't have enough story. Last of Us has enough story to tell. And like, they can afford to like show you Abby, give you enough of Abby without giving you all of Abby right now, because you're going to find out about Abby's going to be a very central character in this season. So it's like, hey, we can give you enough of Abby to get to tell you, hey, she's headstrong, she's clearly a leader, she's volatile, she's filled with revenge. Hey, tune in next week and we'll tell you why. Not only we tell you why, we might even give you a backstory, so you know why and you can feel why, because Abby is going to be a character that is hard to place. Like, is she a villain? Is she a protagonist? Is she an antagonist? People are going to connect with Abby. At least I think they will connect with Abby. So I think they're like, hey, we trust our audience that we can build out this character that you're going to, maybe fall in love with, maybe hate, but you're going to feel something about her. So let's give you enough here, as we go along.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And this is a show that has already been greenlit for season 3. And I believe I read something a while back that it's probably going to be a 5-season saga. So
after this season, I got nothing for you because I don't even think they're making another game.
Right. Yeah, that came out a while back that there's Last of Us 3 is not likely. So they're going to obviously maybe deviate from the game even more. But I think this show has done a great job of like attracting, like giving the video game fans what they maybe want to see, but also attracting the casual viewer, which is what all these companies are going for. The movies and the TV shows are trying to get the casual viewer. So it's done a great job with that. Last thing I want to say about Kaitlyn Dever is on the official podcast, which is great, by the way. Check it out. It's hosted by Troy Baker, who was the voice of Joel in the video game series. And it has Neil Druckmann and Craig Mazin, which I failed to mention earlier. Craig Mazin is the director of The Last of Us HBO show. They talked about how Kaitlyn Dever is in this show because she was going to play Ellie when The Last of Us was going to be a movie. Originally, it was going to be a movie. Didn't happen, obviously. Then Kaitlyn Dever aged out of the role. And so this is a way to bring her into the Last of Us world as Abby, who is also a very important character. So looking forward to seeing how that character pays off down the road, or very soon. I think we're going to see more from her. Moving on to another character. Let's get to this because this character, Isabela Merced's Dina, comes flying in off the top rope. This character is, she's my favorite character. What a great character she plays. Dina is the kind of it girl, the popular girl in town, and she's Ellie's best friend. She's also very interested in Ellie, it seems, and Ellie is obviously very interested in her. She also is very close to Joel. The first time we see her, she knocks on the door, comes inside, and he says, "Hey, kiddo." And you're thinking like, oh, he's talking to Ellie. No, he's talking to Dina. Brittany, what did you think about Dina? We have a lot to discuss with Dina, but what did you think about initial impressions of this character?
She seems like someone who has it together. Considering having grown up in an apocalyptic world and having to adapt and whatnot. She's gorgeous. I think she's extremely attractive, and just the personality behind her as well helps with all that, right? She may be beautiful on the outside, but like, how is she as a person on the inside? And I think so far, I think all of her intentions are coming from a good place. Like her trying to connect with Joel. She's in that first moment that we meet her. She comes to him and says, "Hey, there's a problem outside. We don't know what to do. Our foreman isn't foremanning." And he's like, "Oh yeah, sorry about that. I'm working on something." And she's like, "Oh, like, what are you doing?" And he says, he's telling her about the circuit breakers. And she's like, "Oh, well, can you show me how to fix it?" Like, she seems someone who is genuine, who wants to help and wants to learn things. But then she also wants to tap into Joel's perspective of what's going on between him and Ellie, because she is Ellie's best friend and maybe something more after this episode. So first impressions, I think she's genuine. I think she is someone who is very easy to get along with. I think she wants to pull her weight, and she is just someone who is a cool girl. Looking over here in the chat, Yesenia says, easy to fall in love with her. Yeah, charismatic. I think that's a great way of summing it up as well. I'm very curious to see what Dina is going to be like throughout the rest of the season, because she apparently has had an on again, off again relationship with did we get the guy's name?
Jesse.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. So we'll see what how things progress.
Yeah, the Jesse actor, I'm not super familiar with him, but he was in Beef. Beef is a great show. Check that out on Netflix. He's a key character in that series. Tristan, what do you think about Dina so far, and just her impact on the episode, where she's trying to connect Ellie and Joel, and she's also trying to connect herself with Ellie? And we'll get into that a little bit more in a second. But what do you think about Dina so far?
Man, it's hard to not love Dina. I think I haven't read a review or seen a tweet about Dina that wasn't like overly positive. Like I love what they've done with her character. In the game, she kind of has a lot of that wild, carefree, feminist. Not to conflate the three adjectives, but like she's definitely, a feminist, has a feminist ideology in the game. She's strong, but she's not as strong as like Ellie. You know what I'm saying? Like she's clearly more deferential to Ellie in the game. And this one, she takes more control. Like or at least is Ellie's equal as far as like being headstrong and being forceful. Dina is also, just in the same way, Joe was telling her about like hitting the little wire to make sure that it's live. Like Dina's a live wire. Like she takes whatever the situation is and kind of ups it up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's an interesting to watch out for through, as we look at her relationship with Ellie and Jesse, and different characters, because she brings something out of people. Like she might bring the best out of people, but she can also bring or accentuate the worst. And with Ellie, who's in this season so far, like even more on edge, even more volatile, that could be good and bad in a lot of ways. But Dina's a perfectly casted. This is a role you feel like she's kind of taken by the horns, and if episode 1 is an indication, like she's gonna win this, a lot of awards for this season. Like just one of our favorite characters.
Yeah, and Isabela Merced is going to be a star. I mean, I guess she's already a star, but she's going to be a big star, and she's going to be in Superman this summer. She plays Hawkgirl, so we will talk about her later on in the summer, in addition to the rest of this season of The Last of Us. But Brittany, continue with the character. There's this big New Year's Eve dance that's going on, that's going to happen, that we're leading to, and Dina invites Ellie to go to the dance. Sorry, the sirens are on my end. Brittany, why don't you talk about that a little bit, about the importance of this dance and the community kind of coming together?
Once again, it is 5 years since the last time we saw these characters. It's the end of 2029, or are we going into 2029?
Going into 2029.
Okay, so we're going into 2029. So it's a time to celebrate. I mean, traditionally, New Year's Eve is something that gets people very excited because of what it represents. It's a whole new year. It's a whole new opportunity of making better choices and what have you, hopefully. But hopefully for them, it's another year closer to getting rid of these cordyceps. But hey, probably won't happen. But for Ellie, she doesn't really seem too interested in going for whatever reason. Everyone just kind of keeps telling her like, oh, it would be good of you to show up. It would be nice for you to show up. I don't know if everyone in the community is saying that to her just for Joel's sake, because they can clearly see that there is something very strained between the two. But it's Dina who really changes her mind to, I guess, actually go, even though they're on their patrol about to do recon, and the question comes up, hey, are you going to go? She's like, yes. Like, why? And then the conversation gets a little deeper about like, oh, well, who are you going with? Oh, you're interested in someone. Oh, no. Well, come with me. We'll get, basically they're like, we'll get high. We'll dance the night away and what have you. And for Ellie, I mean, that, it might seem innocent in the invitation, but for Ellie, because she clearly feels some type of way towards her best friend, that could go one or two ways. And that kind of gets interrupted later when they are on their recon and come across a big ass bloodied dead bear and ripped up cordyceps.
Yeah, let's get into the infected. We haven't talked much about the infected. Tristan, let's talk about the Dina and Ellie are part of this recon group that are going out, and they go to this supermarket, and along the way, like Brittany said, they see this bear that was killed by a bunch of infected, and you've got this scene that I'm sure the supermarket scene has to be straight out of the video game, correct?
Yeah, there's some alterations to it. There, in the game, it's just Dina and Ellie. There's not a group.
Okay.
Especially the weak ass leader, Kat. Like she should be fired. Like she's not cut out for that. But yeah, they do go into a market.
Yeah.
And there's way more infected. But the scene, like I said, it's similar to the game. The difference is we don't see, and I actually love that they did this. We don't see like the evolution of the infected this early in the game. So I do think it's a really important thing to show that early, like episode 1. Hey, 5 years have gone by, since the initial outbreak. 5 years have gone by since 20 years after the initial outbreak.
Right.
And like, yeah, we've seen like the big super clicker, big monster looking clicker, but like even the smaller ones, even just the regular ones have evolved, in so many different ways. So that presents a new challenge on top of, another one that, we saw at the end of this episode, is on its way as well. So I love that they showed that in this scene, because like I said, in the game, it's like you shoot through like so many of the regular ones and you get like one really big one. And that, but we see that evolution of clickers in the first game, in the first season. Now, like, hey, no, the evolution, or they're mutated, I guess, in a different way, to where then now they can hide. Now they, won't just run straight at you. Now they know how to be quiet and stuff like that. They're not just letting the cordyceps control like every part of their brain. Maybe a part of their human brain is coming back. I don't know, but it was such an important scene. Also reminding us, hey, Ellie's still immune. Like that's still something that they have to, with the so many of like the human conflicts in the show, the conflicts with infected, with power, the elements, all these things. Like you still have to come back to the central core of like, hey, Ellie can get bit at any time. She's still immune, but like, how much does that, last? How is that ever going to run out? Like, there's still that danger with her, so she still has to think about that. And I love them doing it with this mutation of the infected clicker.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. The clickers have evolved, and this one, maybe this one just wasn't as infected as the clickers are, because, like you said, it seems like it still obviously looks more human. They're very stealthy. They have like a game plan for how to attack, and like you said, Ellie gets bitten by this one, and you brought up the immunity, which I think is going to be a big thing. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but only Joel and Tommy know about her immunity, or is there anybody? Does anybody else know? Because I feel like that's going to be a huge part of the season, is other people finding out, being like, "What's going on?"
Just those two.
Just those two. Okay. Yeah. Brittany, what did you think about the supermarket scene? And did you think the same thing I thought, where they're in the supermarket and they show the employees of the month, and in July it was a dog, and I'm like, are we about to see an infected poodle? Or I think that was a poodle. I if I could have bet all the money in the world, I would have been penniless, because I was like, they're gonna have an infected poodle attack them. What'd you think about the supermarket stuff?
We do not, I repeat, do not ever need to see an infected puppy dog. All right. I can't handle it. Not going to handle it. Like, no, my dog acts like a demon as it is at times, but I don't need to see an actual infected animal like that. Okay. We just no, I will cry. I was not expecting the supermarket scene to go like that. I mean, obviously the two girls were aware of the two infected that escaped the bear attack, if you will. But Ellie falling through the floor like she did, and then she's casing the floor that she's on and what have you. And then when we start seeing the shoes, like the tight focus on her shoes, and she's walking, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to end well. And then it cuts away to the infected crawling on hands and knees, and it's barefoot, and I'm just like, like bare feet, and like it's cut up and it's gross, and I'm just like, I don't need to see this either. But when we finally got to see the infected's face, and you saw that the nose was just like ripped off, the face was just so attacked and bloodied and what have you. Look, the noises that it was making was creepy as hell, and at that point I got my blanket and I like just held it up to my face because I was just like, nope, we're not doing this. I don't do zombies, y'all. Like, I've never done zombies. This was the reason why I didn't start watching Game of Thrones from the get-go, because I thought it dealt with zombies with the White Walkers in the very first episode. Okay, that's why it took your girl 6 years to watch the damn show. Beside the point. The fact that I'm actually watching this show because it's so damn good, beside the fact that they're not technically zombies, but they are zombies, my anxiety is having a day. Okay. So for what it was, it did the job, right? It made you like sit on the edge of your seat, pins and needles, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, oh my God, why is this particular one so stealthy? Why did it not run up on her? I mean, it caught her attention, obviously, intentionally, but it was playing a game. It was a game of cat and mouse. And I mean, thank goodness for Ellie, because she is immune. Was not going to end well for her. So she got bit on her stomach, and then later on goes and with a knife and cuts into the skin of where the bite was and then proceeds to stitch it up. Oh God, that was the other thing. I can't do needles. This is why I don't have tattoos. So sorry, I'm just kind of going through it right now. Anyway, that being said,
going to the chat,
those stealthy I think they're called stalkers in the game.
Yeah.
Second most scary part about the game to me.
Oh, I can see that.
Second most.
Have we seen the first yet? I'm guessing no.
We have not seen the first. I really hope we don't. If we get to that point, buddy, I may have to skip that one. I had some sleepless nights about that one. Mostly just trying to beat it, but like it was hard to beat and scary at the same time. So like, yeah.
Nope. Yeah. I will probably tap out at that point and be like, I will just run this pod for y'all. I will not actually watch it anymore.
We will continue to pod because this show is so damn good. But I understand.
We'll get through
going to the chat. Marcy's got a question here. Have we seen infected animals? Have they explained if the cordyceps is only affecting humans?
Ooh, no.
Because from the first season, I don't remember an infected animal.
No, they weren't.
Okay. That's why I thought we might see a dog, honestly.
Again, I don't want nor need to see this.
Yeah. Fair. So
I will boycott.
Before we get to the big dance scene, which we're going to talk about, we have a little meeting between Joel and Ellie. And Joel, so Ellie is staying in the garage of the house, and Joel goes in there to talk to her. He sees the guitar on the ground, and there's definitely some significance with the guitar. And Tristan, I want to get your thoughts on that. And then obviously the final thing we see with those two characters is Joel is on the porch strumming the guitar. I mean, they show the guitar a couple of times. Joel offers to restring it for her. Talk about the importance of the guitar to the Joel and Ellie storyline.
Okay. Try to do this in a tricky way.
I guess without spoiling, I guess maybe.
Yeah. I'll say from where we began to now, well, it kind of goes, it's like a few degrees of separation, but the guitar is something that Joel used to play with, around his daughter. So there's the love there. You see it in the pilot, when she's looking for him, she goes upstairs to like the guitar is present. It's just a consistent motif. And for Joel, it represents, a form of love, like something that he can just kind of relax with. He can pass on to somebody else, like he planned to pass on to his daughter and teach her how to play the guitar. So he, built that with Ellie, and that became part of their bond. And, it'll continue to be a bond. It's something that will always connect them throughout the season. So that is my spoiler-free analysis of the guitar.
Very, very well done.
It's an iconic scene. Yeah. There's a bunch of iconic scenes between Joel in both games, 1 and 2, with the guitar. So like just things we'll always remember as a game player, like beautiful scenes with the guitar.
Yeah, and I do want to say once again that the episode's titled "Future Days," which is a Pearl Jam song, which is featured in the video games. And if you haven't heard the song, do your favor and check it out. It's a very good song, very very good song. In fact, I knew about the song before I knew that it was a part of the game. So, like I said, do yourself a favor, check out "Future Days" by Pearl Jam. Really really great one. Brittany,
Don't
let's get
tempt me
to
with a good time, man.
what's that?
Say, don't tempt me with a good time. I
I
was
mean,
on my early '90s and 2000s alt rock playlist
yeah.
today. So I'm on.
Well, in the game, the video game awards a few years ago, Eddie Vedder played that live. I mean, he was remote, in a remote location, but he played the song. It was pretty cool acoustic version of that song. Which I mean, it features acoustic guitar anyway. But check both those out. Check out the regular version, and the acoustic version. I think you'll enjoy it.
Hey,
Um,
I was happy when in season 1 the teaser uh, song was "Enjoy the Silence," like an incredibly slowed down, almost stripped down acoustic of Depeche Mode's "Enjoy the Silence," and I love Depeche Mode, so I mean they're killing it with the music. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, I mean that's the thing about these shows is like I said, they just nail it. Acting, writing, cinematography, music. It's all like a work of art, and it's like I said, it's really fun to watch this and talk about it every week.
What was the band's name at the dance? I know we're going to start talking about the dance soon.
It's like
Brittany and the
Jug Boys, I believe, which is I think it's a made up. It's not a real band. I think it's a made up band.
I mean, my ears perked up. I heard my own name, and I'm like, "What?" I'm like, I would never. First and foremost.
Speaking of the dance scene, let's talk about that, Brittany, because we get to the New Year's Eve dance, and we see that Dina is there, and she is the belle of the ball. She is having the time of her life, dancing, having fun, being very flirty with everybody, but especially Ellie. And
being very high. Don't forget that.
Yeah, also very high. And then we get one of the more dramatic scenes of the episode. Brittany, take it away. Tell us about that scene and what you thought about it.
I love the shot where we get like the ceiling shot and then it pans down to Ellie who's watching the whole crowd, right? Because the way that I guess it's a church that's decorated. It's just strings of like Christmas lights, right? And they're all hanging up on the ceiling beautifully, and it's giving ambiance, right? It's giving that effect that we want, right? This is a joyous occasion. Everyone's gonna have a great time and what have you. And she has small talk with Jesse, right? Jesse is Dina's ex, and they're watching her, as you said, she's dancing around, having a time of her life, and what have you. Well, then Dina will go and grab Ellie to dance, but it's more of a slow dance, right? So she makes Ellie put her hands on Dina's waist. Dina puts her arms around her shoulders, and they start slow dancing and what have you. And you can see that moment building into something a little bit more. And Dina begins whispering into Ellie's ear after Ellie's like, "Hey, everyone's watching you." And she's like, "Maybe they're watching you." No, they're not. She's like, maybe they're jealous of you and what have you. I mean, these words that really would just kind of get someone to melt in their arms. And it kind of works because Dina makes that move to kiss Ellie, and Ellie's like, whoa, is this really happening? And then Ellie kisses back. I mean, really kisses back, and they're having that moment right there on the dance floor. Well, gets interrupted by a man named Seth, and I don't remember if he was in the previous season or not, but
I don't believe so.
Yeah. But he is not happy with what's happening on the dance floor. He says, "Hey, this is a family event." Dina's like, "Sorry." Seth doesn't accept that. She's like, "Sorry." Like, in other words, it's over. Get over it. Be done with it. The girls start walking away, and he makes a really derogatory remark to them about what they were doing. And Ellie turns around and she's like, "What the fuck did you say?" Well, in comes Joe. Sorry, I keep calling him Joe. Joel, I will get this right one day. In comes Joel, pushing Seth to the ground and asking if Ellie's okay. And she's like, "What the fuck do you think you're doing? I don't need your help." And she embarrasses Joel in front of basically the whole town. And he's like, "Right," walks away. I'm like, what? That's one way to celebrate New Year's Eve.
Happy New Year, right?
Jeez, no kidding.
I mean, it's a perfect way to perfectly illustrate like the gap that's between them and how far they've come in these 5 years. Like now, again, if I'm a super casual fan of Last of Us, I need to know what happened in between that 5 years, right? Or is it just that the lack of trust had to like kind of slowly metastasize, right? Like over the course of this 5 years, it's like now I need to see episode 2. Like I need more context about why there's this big gap. Like last we saw from them, like, yeah, she might have seemed like she was a little unsure of Joel, but she still was like devoted to him, right? So something has happened over the course of these 5 years. They both changed in so many different ways or become more of who they are, which might be the issue. But it's crazy scene because I mean, obviously, I agree with like my favorite shot of probably the entire episode was the ceiling scene because it kind of lets you know, and it's in a much beautiful way. Like outside, you have like this snow happening, right? But it's beautiful, right? The ambiance behind it, like the visuals, it's beautiful. Inside, it's warm, like the lights are beautiful. Everybody's come together. It's a community event. You know, nobody, just like any other great TV show or movie, we don't know that chaos is about to ensue, right? Because there's this, you have to start with the contrast. You have to start with the beauty before you take that away. And it also lets you know, like 5 years ago, you know, when we left them, people were kind of settling into like this developed community. Now it's like, Joel has an office and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like he's a, you know, official title and everything seems to be working. Like, yeah, there's some things that need repair. Like you only have but so many resources, you know, like look at the conversations they're having. It's like, hey, should we let more people in or not? Like that's a really normal ass conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like The Last of Us, when there's, you know, people aren't fighting against, you know, corrupt, you know, government agencies or infected, like this is really just a show about people, you know, kind of interacting in a community. So like there's all this regular shit happening, and like in that scene, like that dance scene illustrates again not just the fact that Ellie and Joel are so far apart, but like in a way you could say like the community is so far apart from the tragedy, you know, like the catastrophe, which is the rest of the world. Like they're so shut off from it. Like, yeah, they go out and patrol, but like for the most part, like they try not to get into much shit. Like they have these systems in place, you know, and all of it is meant to like bring people back. Like that's, you know, that's the objective. Like they're not out there looking for issues, is what I'm saying. So everything about it was beautiful because it's kind of wrapping up. Like it's letting you know, like, hey, what happened in this 5 years is really important to like building up who we are, but also could be the thing that tears, you know, what we have down. So loved it.
Yeah, and it just kind of goes to show you that despite the zombie apocalypse, you still have people are bigots. Like you know, even though like they've been through so much, and to me it'd be like it's like you're really bothered by two girls kissing. Like it's like, you know, every day would be like it's amazing we have another day. But you're right, people this Jackson Hole, Wyoming is like this special place, and they've kind of, you know, they're repopulating the world, and they're rebuilding, and they're, you know, this is a bustling community, and they're trying to move on with life. And while that's happening, the way the episode ends is we see that some infected tendrils are taking root in Jackson. So, you know, little foreshadowing there that while, you know, they're at this community event, it's beautiful, like you said, a beautiful event, snowing outside, the lights are, it looks incredible. And it's just this, you know, community gathering while they're having a good time. In theory, you know, the reason why the world is the way it is, you know, it's creeping up on them. And I think that was very well done in this episode to show how quickly people can kind of turn the page. But it's like, you know, that thing that brought the world to this point is right on your doorstep again. And you
think about relax. The beginning of the episode when they found like their pipe busted. Like 5 years ago, you probably would have burnt that. You would have
Yeah.
gotten rid of it in some type of way.
Exactly.
And now it's just like, well, we're so used to things being normal that you disregard it, and all it takes is one.
Yeah. No doubt about that. Brittany, what'd you think about the way the episode ends with the tendrils and with Abby looking on, like seeing, the lit up community in the dark and knowing that she is gunning for Joel, literally.
Again, I'm annoyed that she's a brat. I'm annoyed that she treats her surrogate father in that way, but hey.
No, I'm talking about Abby. Sorry, not Ellie. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Abby. Yeah. Good Lord. Yeah. Did it take 5 years for her to get from Salt Lake City to Jackson, Wyoming? I mean, Jackson, Wyoming is like the next state over. Did they end up going to Seattle and, resources and all that good stuff? Good Lord.
I think there's a bunch of Buc-ee's along the way. They had to stop at each one of them. Yeah.
Listen, y'all.
I can answer that question if you.
Oh,
go for it. Yeah.
Oh no, they're based in Seattle. So like the organization or the gang, whatever you want to call it, the crew that she's with is based out of Seattle. So yeah, they did actually go to Seattle.
Okay.
And then come back. Yeah.
Figured as much. So, I mean, how quickly is she going to basically break down the doors of the compound in Jackson? Do you think we're going to get that in? Lord, Marcy, you're killing me with all your comments today. Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see if Abby and the Fireflies, if it's just the same 5, or are they going to call for backup? How quickly are they going to invade the Jackson compound, if you will? I don't know.
Or will they?
That's true. There's a lot of infected out there. So we'll see.
Yeah. They might get in trouble, and then the people from Jackson come to help, and then we've got a mess on our hands to see
I agree.
who's going to survive or who's going to join who. Obviously, I feel like the Fireflies could easily, join the, join the Jackson group, and then from there figure out, okay, Joel's here, let's take him out. And yeah, I feel like that could be how this season plays out in some ways.
Yeah,
could be.
Yeah, but now Tristan obviously knows. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, honestly, this was a great start to the season. I can't wait for the next 6 episodes. Tristan, anything we didn't talk about that you want to mention from this episode?
Not well. I did kind of want to chime in a little bit on Dina and Joel earlier. I just thought it was an interesting choice because they're not super close in the game. Interactions are minimal at the beginning, but there's not really, they don't really spend a lot of time with each other, honestly. So I do find it interesting them kind of including her in there. It's kind of to not necessarily draw a wedge between them two, but maybe be a bridge between Joel and Ellie, and give Joel somebody to kind of talk to outside of Gail, in a certain way. Just kind of get some type of connection with a teenage girl to kind of fill the void that he's not getting from Ellie. But yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and Joel even references, he says to Gail, he talks about how Dina treats him like a person, says hello, and makes him feel like he's a good guy for what he's doing, because he thinks he is a good guy for what he's doing despite all the the things he's done. So yeah, good point to note. Good job noting that. Brittany, is there anything we didn't mention that you want to talk about?
I don't think so. Really, I think we kind of hit all the high points. I did love the relationship that Joel has with his nephew, showing him the map, kind of getting him familiar with the town and what's outside the walls. He's like monsters. It's what do? We kill them. And it's oh, okay, this might not end up well for the kid. hopefully not. I will say when they were showing the recap from the previous season, I'm glad they left out the episodes that dealt with the two boys, the two brothers, because man, that was rough.
Well, if you watch the extended recap, they
Nope, don't
definitely
want to.
did focus on those characters. By the way, I didn't notice this last season, but there's an ASL version of The Last of Us on
Oh,
HBO. Yeah, very cool. It has season 1 and obviously the first episode of season 2. So you can check that out on Max as well.
Yeah, I also thought it was good to see Maria and Joel's relationship had improved over these 5 years, especially from where it began to the point where he could be more, vulnerable and open and comfortable, playing around his nephew. So that was good to see because it didn't look good, when we last left.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is such a loaded cast. I mean, we didn't really talk much about Tommy, Gabriel Luna's character, but he plays a key part. I feel like he'll obviously play a big part in the season. And, there's, like we haven't even seen Jeffrey Wright's character yet. So he's
Isaac.
on another HBO show he'll be on. So once again, loaded cast, just like the first season, but even more this season seems like. So lots of good stuff. Let's wrap it up. Final thoughts, Brittany. What are your final thoughts on the first episode of The Last of Us season 2?
I think I saw earlier in the comments from Trisha. She said she let me find it. She said, I thought the season premiere was a little slow. And I will still agree with that. I think because of the fact that I was kind of anticipating us getting bam, like right into the action of things. But because the story has progressed 5 years, we now need to catch up with the rest of these characters and what their storylines are now. So it is important to set up new storyline that way when we progress in the rest of the season, we at least have the basis of it and not like getting it piecemealed to us. Mm-hmm. I wanted more, but I'm okay with what it is that we got because again, at this point, I will agree with Tristan that it's incredibly important to get story at this moment. And I think it was done well for sure. So I'm looking forward to the rest of the season, especially when I saw that Jeffrey Wright was in this season. I'm like, oh, the Watcher, he's here. What's happening? How is he going to, influence this universe and change everything? So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I hope we get more Catherine O'Hara. Honestly, I hope she's not just like a one-off. I really want to see more of her.
I feel like we will. In the chat, Marcy said I want to see more Joel in therapy. Men take note. We love to see it.
Yes, we love to see men take care of their mental health. It's important, y'all.
Yeah, good stuff. Tristan, final thoughts on this episode?
Oh man, I thought it off to a great start. I thought there was enough action for me, enough story. This season, trust me. Yeah. Whatever action you got last season, you're gonna get that probably times 3. This season, it's so much action from so many different places. Everything's a threat essentially. I really think that episode 1 showed me that they have a vision for how they are going to steer the ship, through the season. This should be a very chaotic season in a good way, if they put the pieces together like I think they will, like they kind of started to do already. Yeah, man, like I thought this was really good. But I love this shit. So take that for what you will. But yeah, so again, I'm going to continue looking at like the similarities and differences between the game because I think it says a lot about intention, about, hey man, when you're playing a video game, you can tell a story this type of way. In a TV show, when you only have, 8 to 10 episodes, you have to tell it in this type of way. And I trust them, to be able to tell that and to get us to a place, especially knowing there's going to be a season 3. I'm going to be hyper focused on like just pacing of the story because there's so much story. I don't know how much they're going to have time for, what they're going to prioritize or leave for season 3. But I think episode 1, we're off to a very good start. So I look forward to that continuing that momentum.
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I thought it was a perfect premiere, like just nailed it. And it's, it's a show that I didn't mention this, but season 1 was 2 years ago. It was from January to like maybe March or when it aired, and like that's a long time for a show to be away. I mean, it's we're getting more used to it now with the way streaming works, but 2 years away, and I hadn't rewatched the show either. So this show I thought did a great job of catching me up, and I think catching the audience up on what happened from season 1, reminding us, and then throwing us 5 years in the future, and here we go, we're off and running. And yeah, I think it's perfect. I really enjoy the show. Really looking forward to watching and talking about the next 6 episodes of season 2. So now you know what we thought about the first episode of season 2 of The Last of Us. We want to know what you think about it. And Brittany, how can people let us know? You are muted. It's okay. Brittany, you're muted.
One day, I will get this. I will. One day. I did this on the Handmaid's Tale pod, y'all. It's like a new thing. I have to do this once every episode.
Right.
Join us in our live streams with King B. Johnson, Marcy, Trisha, M Moves, Yesenia, and others that I might have missed. We appreciate y'all taking the time out of your day to join us and talk about The Last of Us. So be sure you hit that subscribe button. We're currently on the road to 500 subscribers. At present time, we are at 443. So let's get that number up. We have entered into season 7 of The Watchers in the Basement. That's right, y'all. We just had our anniversary. It's been great. Thank you so much for everyone who has supported us. Shout out to Kimmy Johnson for wishing us happy 6 years. Yeah, this has been a lot of fun. We have grown not just in numbers, but we've grown in the amount of watchers that have joined us, like Tristan, Marcy, Amber. We also have guest appearances from Dave, just kidding, Andrew, our brother in the North. Yeah, we have a lot of fun here, y'all. We hope you do as well. So be sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell. That way, the next time we go live, which will be Wednesday, right? Yes, Wednesday, for the final episode of Daredevil Born Again season 1. I'm glad we're wrapping it up. It's been very difficult to get through that one. But we're also going to cover The Handmaid's Tale, Doctor Who. Yes, that is coming up. We're just trying to decide on a day. And we have got other movies and TV shows coming your way as well. So once again, subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit the like button on this pod while you're at it. Don't forget to follow us on our social media links, all of which can be found in the description box down below. And lastly, we have audio podcasts available to you on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Give us a follow and give us a 5-star rating.
Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate it. Yeah, we've got a lot coming up. The rest of April, we've got May's loaded, June, and then July is insane with all the movies and everything. So
all gas, no breaks.
We're gonna need some breaks though, but the scheduled breaks here and there. But we'll figure it out.
I'm going on a cruise, so bye.
Well, yeah, okay. Well, we're still gonna try to soldier on. We've got a lot to discuss, a lot of stuff happening. We appreciate everybody who's joined us. For any episode, even just one along the way, we appreciate it. We, like I said, starting our 7th year, and we hope that this will be the best year we've ever had. We've had some really great years the last couple of years, and it's been fun the whole way. So it's it really helps. Like tonight in the chat was very lively. It really helps us out. So keep joining us. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dad. Share the links, subscribe, like, do all those fun things. We really appreciate it. So. For Brittany and for Tristan, I am Justin saying thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time. Have a good night. Bye-bye.